Hello?
Oh,
Coach Caleb.
Hey, what's up, Stan?
How are you? Welcome to Menace and The Man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Bet your ass.
Sorry we ran a little late. You know what it was? We got a little bit of a late start. And then I always tell guys, we want them for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, but if we have a good conversation, it always goes 40, 45,
Caleb,
hour.
you know how it is, dude.
Yeah.
Because I'm my first session with Caleb, he was like, we'll talk for 45 minutes. We talked for an hour and a half.
Yeah. We had Kevin Ross for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, that guy's kind of a wizard. I had a feeling that was going to happen. That's all right, though. It's good. It's good conversation. He's a good guy to talk to.
And then Jeremy Stevens, we pretty much just had to kick him off the phone because we were going to go all night with him. We were broing out, especially him and Menace talking about beating each other up.
Wow.
Punching each other in the head.
Yeah, that's always good conversation. It seems like there's a lot of beating up. I saw the video where Dennis kicked you in the leg. How's your leg doing?
Dennis was just asking me about that. I'm doing good. No bruising. And, I mean, I've trained before, so I've taken leg kicks. But even in the video, he hit me right in the Charlie horse spot. All right. So it was definitely one of those, you know. And then the second one, I knew was coming, but I thought maybe we'd like set up for it. And he just charged at me when I was like walking away. So that one hit like a untensed muscle, if you will. So yeah,
you took it well. You know, you bore it well.
Yeah, he got me good twice, but
I'm a sniper.
Yeah.
And I don't like him.
Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We're doing the show. Obviously, you've been paying attention. I think we're on to something here.
Yes. So the voice you guys are hearing now
Stan, I wasn't asking.
Well, I was going to introduce the Mental Sensei, Caleb Rogers, is the voice you guys are now hearing. Mental coach to a lot of UFC fighters. He's worked with Dennis. He's worked with Kevin Ross. He worked with our guests from last week, Devin Clark, Joey Beltran, a lot of guys. Continue, Dennis.
Fuck you, Stan.
So, Coach Caleb, I think Dennis needs one of those talking tos right now because he's going to negative town.
Nah, I'm just joshing.
So what did we catch you in the middle of? We appreciate you keeping the schedule open for us. Sorry we ran a little bit late, but what did we catch you in the middle of?
Well, so I've got a couple seminars this weekend that I'm giving. One at 10th Planet BJJ Kansas City, a local 10th Planet club. And then the owner has a wife, and so this is what kind of caught me a little off. It's a dance studio for girls. And so I'm sitting here thinking, well, what can I share with girls? Like, you know, with the dance studio girls. Their environment's a little different. I emailed to talk to the teacher, and, you know, they don't really have a heavy emphasis on competition. And as you know, I work with a lot of people who do. So right now I'm definitely kind of going to my banks like, okay, what are we doing? And their big thing is focus. So that's what I'm working on, is prepping a speech of focus for dancers. And then I've got the 10th Planet BJJ guys, which I feel a little bit more comfortable. That's kind of my zone.
So let's back up a little bit. 'Cause you hopped in my DMs and you're like, hey man, I'm out there, I'm coaching people, first one's on me, let's do it. And I was just like, fuck it, I got nothing to lose, whatever. So we talked, and I remember asking you, like, why are you doing this? What made you get into this field?
Yeah, well, so I'm a CPA, certified public accountant, and in 2015, I was sitting there in an office in a cubicle with like no windows and no walls. And in January of that year, I lost my grandfather, who was like, you know, really important to me, kind of my central male figure growing up. And when I did, I looked at his life, and, you know, people say, hey, don't ask the big questions when you have a death. I think that's completely wrong. I think it really puts things in perspective of like when you reconcile your own mortality. So I started kind of asking those questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What do I like about this? Am I even good at it? And I didn't like a lot of the answers that I was coming up with. And I realized, I was like, you know, I can do accounting and I would be competent. I would be all right. But it would never be what I was best at.
Was the number one thing of why you were doing accounting was for the money?
Security. Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I met my wife, I was actually doing acting. I was involved in acting in theater and wanted to go out to California and do that whole thing. But when I met my wife, I was like, oh, man, maybe I better settle down and actually make some money and get some security. And that kind of almost became like, in idle. Like I began to like lose myself and my own identity in status, right? Oh, I worked for a big four global accounting firm and I made good money and was in mergers and acquisitions, and it sounded sexy, but like I hated what I was doing. So I realized I was like, this is not a good fit. And furthermore, like, you know, since going on this journey, man, you really got to figure out kind of who you are when you have everything that you kind of identified taken away. And in doing that, that's kind of what I help my fighters do, is establish powerful identities and then go out and compete out of them.
All right. So now, what was it like? You just talked to your first fighter and fell in love with it, or you just hit the ground running? Like,
So I reached out to a guy.
How'd you pick fighters to get into? You know, like fighters, you wanted to get into a fighter's mind.
He does anybody.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
He does
how did
CEOs. He does. Look, he's doing a girls' dance studio.
I know, that's what I'm saying though. How did he get into fighters' heads? Was it slipping into their DMs and just picking out fighters, or what made you think of, let me try some of this avenue?
Right. I was training at the time. You know, I trained, you know, at a local gym, and I was doing some research, and it seemed like, you know, with mental coaching, life coaching, executive coaching, I was already doing consulting. I thought, well, maybe I could get into executive coaching. And when I started doing all my research, it was kind of like the wild, wild west. I mean, there wasn't a ton of certifications around these life coaching certificates and stuff. And I talked to an associate of mine, and he basically said, like, look, if you want to, you know, learn something, go out and read a book and do it. If you want, you know, the marketing and the credentials, then go back to school and pay for it. And I thought that was pretty good advice. So I started picking up, you know, looking into like, what am I interested in? Where do I feel like there's a low barrier of entry where they're not going to be saying like, hey, do you have a doctorate in psychology to come work with me? And I was already interested in fighting. I trained with athletes, and I thought, well, you know, this kind of makes sense. So I picked up the top 3 books in sports psychology, and I just started doing it. And ever since then, I keep reading and I keep doing, and it's kind of led, you know, within a year I was working with somebody in the UFC, and then it kept growing. And as you know, Dennis puts it, I kept working that DM game on Instagram and just planting seeds at that point, you know, planting seeds and seeing what was going to grow where, and doing my best to keep everything sharp. And one thing kind of led to another. And yeah, now I am getting fortunate enough to start working in executive coaching as well as working with fighters and the like.
All right. Who was the first UFC fighter that you worked with?
The James Krause.
The James Krause.
That's right. Yeah. Based here in Kansas City. He's coach over at Glory MMA and Fitness. A couple of his fighters, you know, Grant Dawson just entered, Negan Anderson, Zach Cummings, they all train over at Glory. And James kind of spearheaded that march. I think he beat Sam Stout to get his UFC contract back a while ago with some short notice. But yeah, he was the first one. And I remember it was really exciting. I was like, oh man, like I'm doing it. I'm actually living my dreams.
I can't botch this one.
You can't what?
I can't botch this one. I got to really do a good job. Did you feel pressure going from amateur guys to a UFC guy?
Did I feel pressure?
Yeah.
Let me think. Like, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's always that pressure for sure of like, you know, am I good enough? Am I worthy? You have those questions.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had been doing it for free for a while, and, you know, full disclosure, like with James being my first UFC here locally, like I started working with him complimentary too. Mm-hmm. And as I kind of worked, it's almost like that feeling when a fighter gets to that level where they think they know who they are, and then like it's kind of proven, and they win a couple fights at that level, and they're like, oh, like I can
do this. Right.
Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, like that's kind of, I had my own little mini version of that when I was like, okay, like I am good at this. I am getting results, because it's one thing to feed it and think it and know it, but then, you know, I started seeing it in the lives of my clients. I was like, damn, this stuff is really working, which is good. That's what you want, right? Like is the stuff to work. And so by seeing the results in my clients and the impact that I was having on their lives, that kind of, you know, fed the flame.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you're talking about, Dennis. You're telling me to switch cameras. What do you got to do? Take off your glasses? Oh, switch your gaming glasses? What are these things called again?
You ever hear of blue blockers?
Are you talking to me? I'm having
Yeah.
a hard time hearing Dennis. I can hear Stan, but I, for some reason, can't hear Dennis that well.
Have you ever heard of blue blockers?
What a blue box? No, what's this?
It's like people that stare at screens all day. The screens give off blue light, which can, I don't think it's amazing for your eyes. And it's the blue light out of the LED screens that, mess up your eyes a little bit. I've got multiple pairs of glasses that are blue blockers, and I'm rocking them on the show.
I'm looking at them. They look very trendy. I guess would that be the right word?
Well, I'm going right now. I was talking to you, so I decided let me go movie star.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
He was telling me to change the camera so he can do a switch.
Yeah, but he fucking botched it. Anyways,
I didn't think you were gonna switch your glasses.
Well,
that's
you're
what we're going
stupid.
For.
Okay, you got to know these things about me. I act on the fly. So
You're a
when
dork
you-
wearing
when
blue
you-
blockers.
you're a dork for wearing fucking. You have shitty eyes, you piece of shit. I'm trying to keep mine awesome. Gosh, haters gonna. So when you get a client, you have a blank slate. Where do you like? Do you just come out and like, hey, what's your problem? Or I think I know the answer is like, what's the goal? How do you build a blueprint for a client? Okay.
I always got to go in understanding. I'm not big like I'm just like, hey, I've got a message. Let me just hammer that message down your throat. I really want to know like, what is it you want to do? What's going on with you? What? And as I begin to ask a lot of questions, it's almost like that Socratic, questioning method. I keep digging until I figure out, okay, like this is kind of what makes this person tick. This is what they believe in. This is what they value. Maybe these are a couple of things that might be holding them back. And then I'll start to kind of add wisdom or tools or accountability methods or resources that I've, pulled from. But yeah, it always starts with understanding. Like, I got to know what you want. Why do you want it? Who are you that's going to get it?
And everybody's different, right? Do you feel like you have to pull way harder to get what you need out of somebody than for others? For example, like by the time I had gotten to you, I was very open-minded. I'm like, dude, this is what's up, man. I'm afraid of this. I don't like this. Like, this is what I do good. Like, I was an open book. I feel. You could tell me if I'm different. But I feel like some guys, like, and we were talking to Kevin Ross earlier, is like, sometimes people have this macho thing about, I'm like, what? Like, that means I'm weak if I'm talking to someone else and telling them I have problems and that I don't believe in myself or I'm scared. Like, that's not a man.
Right.
And I see that so much because that was my thing for a very, very, very long time.
Machismo.
I don't need some other dude telling me how to be a dude. Like, I am the man.
I am the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Brene Brown's like leading the charge right now in vulnerability and sharing that, the call to courage. I mean, that banner is getting hoisted up, and I think people are responding very well that, hey, we don't have to necessarily hide behind these issues anymore. And as you kind of look at our culture today, I mean, like, it very much is like best foot forward, right? We're always kind of posting greatness, and it's really hard to be like, okay, everybody's freaking awesome. Like, where am I at? Let me kind of battle these things alone. And I just don't think people have to go at it alone. Like, when I saw people that were on like a national level who had all the talent in the world square off against somebody, and one opponent would mentally dismantle them before competition even began. And that's when I was like, man, people are kind of living, and it's not always fear. I don't want to like pigeonhole that's all I do is address fear. Because that's not the case. Like, there is a lot of people who are very, very mentally tough and not really scared, but just want to improve or be held accountable or look for methods to grow. So like I said, it's not just fear, but it certainly can be. And it certainly helps having somebody to be a neutral third party to talk through these things,
Right.
and kind of bounce ideas off of. Like, somebody who's, maybe not directly involved with what's going on, but has that kind of outside perspective to give you new approaches about how to stay consistent in the gym. And that's that's huge, man. Like I said, like, you know, you had Joey on a couple weeks ago, and he shared some of his things, which, you know, I think was great of him to do so. But fighters have lives too. Athletes have lives too. And, you know, that life, if it gets a little messy or a little hairy, can absolutely intrude on the consistency of which they show up, with the focus level that they show up. And that will have an impact on their performance. So when you can have somebody to kind of process and helps you process a little bit more quickly and get you to kind of reframe things in a way that's like empowering rather than debilitating, that can be a very useful thing to have in your camp.
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember, you know, I worked with you for my last UFC fight, and we established my goals and how we're going to get there, and a mantra, and you had me doing cold showers of you know, just being comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what a fight is. And I remember, like, so this is, I don't think a lot of mental coaches probably do this. Like, our last session before my fight was like, I was going through a very, 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 very hard time with my girlfriend, and that's what we had a 1 hour session. 45 minutes was him talking to me about a girl. The other 15 was like, you know, just going over what we had gone over prior sessions, you know, because that's what was heavy on my mind. That's what I needed to talk about.
What was the mantra, if you don't mind me asking?
The mantra was, I had my own mantra. It was just, you know, I would look myself in the mirror, and I didn't care who was listening. I didn't care who was around, but like the door would be closed. I'd be in the bathroom by myself, you know. But it was, when I said the mantra, I wanted everybody outside that could potentially hear to be like, damn, like, I believe in him too. And my mantra was like, I'm not going to get tired. I will win. I will take this guy down. This guy cannot beat me. Tonight is going to be my night. I'm going to be the best version of Dennis Bermudez anyone has ever seen. And like, as I would continue saying these things of how badass I am, like, as I just did, kind of like my voice would slowly start to like increase, and I would maybe even repeat them again and again, and I would look myself dead in the eyes and see a Dennis Bermudez that no one sees, a Dennis Bermudez that is focused, that wants to, like, who's ready to actually die. Like, who is so focused on what he has to do that nothing else matters, you know? And at first it would be almost like silly and like, oh man, I'm talking to myself in the mirror. And like, by the end, I was ready to fucking kick the fucking door down and get out of the bathroom. And he had me doing this mantra directly after doing a cold shower, which is something very uncomfortable that, for most people, a nice warm shower is a very relaxing thing. Yes. He had me setting the temperature as cold as it could be and staying in there for, you know, 5 to 10 minutes and, you know, going about a shower.
Yeah.
And then getting out and looking myself in the mirror and telling myself, like, yo, your opponent didn't do this. Fuck him. I'm better than him. And it was like, and I remember doing it, you know, before I took a shower, before I headed to the fight. And I remember coming out of the bathroom and Ryan LaFleur and Greg DePasquale being like, damn, this motherfucker's ready to go. Like, you know, like, and you know how Ryan LaFleur is like one to be like, dude, you're so gay. Were you really just talking to yourself in the bathroom? Like, he was just like, okay.
Yeah, like, you need a life coach. I'm your
mentor.
No,
hang on. No, I wasn't. No, it was a mantra that, like, me and Caleb had gone over.
Yeah. And what, you were doing this in the bathroom at Long Island MMA?
No, the bathroom of the shower.
Of the arena.
Of the hotel I was in before I headed over to the arena.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's one thing, if I could tell any fighter, is like, it's weird, right? Like, you might whisper so no one hears you. Like, no, fucking say it with your chest.
Be a gorilla and fucking come out with it. Yeah.
Caleb, can you add to the? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're dead on. Like, one of the things that we work is creating fight state. You know, we want to keep performance state. And when you're taking a cold shower that, you know, It increases cardiovascular blood flow. It increases testosterone. It's a great time to kind of lock in a powerful dominant state. And, if you're going to remember, kind of going back to our training days, we want to win the 3 Ds, right? Damage, dominance, and duration.
Right.
So that damage, dominance, and duration, that starts from when we find out about the fight. So we are creating a dominant mindset from day one. And this is kind of what I was talking about with, like, identity. Oftentimes fighters will place their identity on the outcome of a fight. If I win, I'm a winner. If I lose, I'm a loser. And, their self-esteem, their self-worth will match their bank account or their followers or their win record. And it sucks, right? So we've got to claim our own identity. And here's the thing, competing out of a lack, competing out of desperation, the need to prove to somebody, that machismo that we talked about. I'm not going to argue that it's not effective. It absolutely is. It can propel you to the highest levels of the sport. But the problem is people don't tend to have peace when they do that. Like, it's always, well, what's the next best thing? What's the next thing that I can do to prove myself? I want the results of winning and performing well, but I don't want to have peace along the way. And so I think, what I coach from is to compete out of a sense of power. I tell everybody you're born with a spirit of power, love, and sound mind. And that power is identifying, like, who you are, being consistent in what you think, what you say, and what you do with the things that you can control. And so part of that process is we feed that identity. If we're claiming who we are, and you're saying, hey, I'm Dennis Bermudez, I'm a hard worker, I'm the man, nobody can stop me, like, I train hard, like, whatever those things are that to be true about you, then you get to compete out of that state. And it certainly helps, getting yourself elevated and getting that blood flow and to kind of take a dominating posture and attitude while doing it.
For sure.
So now what do you do to get to the point where you can mentally coach fighters? Are you reading books? Are you going off of personal experience? Are you just shooting from the hip? Like, how do you figure that out?
Yeah, I just throw shit on the wall and see what sticks. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, you have worked with, you've done endless, not endless, but you've done multiple trials with amateurs, and you worked up to pros, and then, for free. And I'm sure you wrote down things that worked, and I'm sure you wrote down things that, he didn't like that.
Yeah.
That didn't work so good,
Yeah. I knew that, it's funny because, like, my biggest critics are the people who have the degrees and have the training, which is fine. That's the scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. But I knew that, like, my edge was going to have to be my results. Like, so like I said, I read all the time. Like, and I read a variety of things from psychology to philosophy to religion to history to war tactics to, all different types of things. And I'm like, okay, if I can use this or draw from this, then I will. And furthermore, like, I'm getting licensed in hypnotherapy. So, that's a new thing, Dennis, that I added that, I didn't have back when.
You're going to hypnotize me?
Not only, yeah, man, like, it's pretty awesome. Like,
okay.
It's pretty potent stuff. So we can work on, like, a conscious level, which is goal setting, positive self-talk, all of these things. But then we can also work on a subconscious level to, like, really bake in what you're there to do. And so I've been locking in, like, trigger phrases with some of my fighters and creating fight states or relieving anxiety before fights, healing, like recovering from injuries. Like, I don't know if you talked to Kevin about, any of that stuff.
A little bit.
His hand's healing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, his doctor said it was, like, amazing how fast he healed. No, I don't want to take full credit for that, like, at all. Like, I know Kevin he's a warrior. He's a badass dude. But I certainly think that the mind-body connection can help. And when you explore, like, what you can do subconsciously with these things, like, it's pretty potent. So, constantly reading, constantly challenging myself to self-educate. And then, two, like, I am looking at doctoral programs or things like that. I've talked to my wife a little bit about it. But just doing. I do it a lot. I work with a lot of people, and I've had, I learn from you guys too, man. Like, that's what's, that's what's awesome is I try to keep that empty cup mentality of, like, okay, like Kevin Ross, great example. Like, that guy, really experienced fighter, like, teaches a lot of stuff. And when I pick up things from him or from you or from other people, like, I'll certainly take what I know to just keep that ball rolling and grow whatever I can to do that. help my people be at their best.
Right. For example, Stan, if you buy 4 sessions with Caleb, he wants a follow up with you because he wants to get better. He wants to learn from what you liked or what you didn't like or what helped you or what didn't help you. So it could be you, it could be someone like you. He can then use these tactics to
apply them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is the same.
Yes. So I have Dennis Bermudez, Joey Beltran, Kevin Ross, Devin Clark. Who else you working with? James Krause?
I don't work with James right now. So here's the thing. Like, I'll work with people for a while, 6 months, a year, whatever, and then they might roll off. And then maybe they'll bring me on for a fight camp, or maybe they won't. But it's like, my goal necessarily isn't necessarily to have, like, lifetime clients, but I certainly want to have lifetime friends.
Yes.
Like, I have worked with, a lot of people. Like, I've given away a lot of free sessions, right? Like, I tell everybody, like, first one's on me. Like, let's just talk and see if it's a good fit, but in the past, like currently right now, like I'm working with Krzysztof Jocko, like he was on, I think, a 3-fight losing streak, and I came along and, now we've got 2 in a row that we've won. Joey Beltran, we've got Kevin Ross. There's a guy who fights in Glory named Mike, the French Rock Lemaire. He's a beast.
Yeah, we got to get Mike on. Mike trains underneath Mel, or used to at least.
And even Krzysztof Jocko, we've been playing phone tag a little bit. Last week we were going to get him on, but he was in Disney World with his family, so we didn't want to. Yeah, you can't impose on that.
Yeah, he won his fight and went to Disney World, it looked like. So.
Where are you going? I'm going to Disneyland.
Yeah, well, he trains in Florida, so I don't know how much of a hike it was, but yeah, I think he went to Disney World. I saw his photos and was like, oh, okay, that's why. Because I don't have that review session. I'm really on my fighters about, hey, we got to come back and review. Mm-hmm. Megan Anderson, I worked with her, James Krause, Matt Brown, like he was one of my bigger ones. Yeah, like literally hundreds. And then, PFL fighters, recently started global, like had some fighters, from Kuala Lumpur, from England, from Australia, Bali. It's surprising sometimes who will answer those DMs.
So, okay, I'm an average Joe, or I am, Henry Cejudo, two-time world champion. How do I get a hold of you? How do I set up a session with you?
Yeah, super easy. Like Mental Sensei is kind of what I go by, like at Mental Sensei, SENSEI. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I got a website, mentalsensei.com. That's easy. Just hit me up. You can DM me, like, through any of those things. I'm pretty responsive. Like, I'm definitely always game to meet new people.
So, Coach Caleb, are you watching fights? Like, are you a big UFC fan?
I am, yeah. Like, I definitely, that's, like I said, why I got into it. Like, I have a tremendous respect for what fighters do. Like, that was what kind of drew me to it. I'm inspired by anybody who's willing to bleed for what they believe in. And a lot of these guys, especially kind of getting to see what I've seen, they, for the first years of their career are almost paying to fight. And that's just, mind-boggling when you come from like the kind of the professional world to do something. You're like, hey, I want to get paid at what I'm good at, but it's complete reversal. It's like, no, I have this dream. I'm willing to sacrifice everything for it. And so I have, like I said, I'm just massively inspired by that. And I get into it. I think UFC has done some tremendous things. I think there's exciting things going on at One Championship, GFL, Bellator. It's the sport's really kind of coming to its own.
Yeah. But, well, before we let you go, we haven't done it yet. You want to talk a little bit UFC 241 with us before you go?
Yeah, let's do it. So that's Stipe and Cormier?
Yep. We'll just focus on the main card, but real quick, we'll give a shout-out to our guy, Manny Bermudez, Dennis's cousin.
Yo, what up, Manny?
He's fighting.
I wondered. Okay, cool, yeah.
No, they're not really cousins, but you know how it is when you're Spanish. You're probably cousins.
And we have the same last name.
Yeah.
Some distant relative. Okay.
Yeah. So Manny Bermudez is fighting Casey Kenny.
I got my money on Bermudez all day.
Yeah. We talked about it when we had Manny on. The last time a Bermudez fought in Anaheim was Dennis versus Matt Grice, which was one of the greatest fights of all time. Even you versus Jeremy Stevens could maybe be a Hall of Fame type of fight. I would think.
I'm just not that famous. I don't have enough followers to get the Hall of Fame love.
Yeah,
Unfortunately. But if Menace and The Man blows up, UFC might be like, oh my God, we fucking actually loved him the whole time. Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, did we lose your coach? I thought we lost your coach, Caleb, because Dennis was trying to throw shit at me. I don't know if we knocked wires out or something.
Nah, he's stupid. Anyways. Next fight.
So the first fight on the card is Derek Brunson versus Ian Heinisch.
Heinisch, yeah, he trains at Factory X. I've met him. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a fucking savage. We actually were talking to Derek Brunson. When was that? Like 2 weeks ago, we almost had him on the show, Derek Brunson.
Yes.
When we did the backyard episode.
Oh, I didn't realize he was fighting, so
yeah.
We should have got him on. I mean, we should have got him on tonight. Anyways, we'll have to get him next week.
Well, fight week. We don't want to bother people fight week. You know how that is. I'm sure it's a headache.
You want to bother people fight week. I'm like, Stan, I don't think that's a good idea. But
no, I really do want to bother people fight week because they're doing interviews anyway. Why not come on Menace and The Man? It's going to be the lightest interview you do. It's going to be the least about fighting.
For sure.
Where every other journalist is going to ask you game plan and you're fighting this person and dumb shit. So Ian, how do you pronounce his name, Caleb? Ian Heinisch?
Heinisch. I believe it's Ian Heinisch, yeah. Trains under Mark Montoya at Factory X. Like, pretty crazy story. I don't know if you, like, studied his background or whatever, but, like, I believe he was in Anaheim prison or something for a little while, and then he got out, kind of straightened up his life, and has been, fighting, and it's just, he's made quite the entrance, so that'll be a great fight. That's a great way to open that card.
Yes,
Derek Brunson's no joke either.
I don't know much about his background, but I do know he went real quick from Contender Series to now main card of a big pay-per-view fighting a guy like Derek Brunson.
Yikes.
He fights in violent fashion. He's a very dominant, aggressive, just it's one of those dudes that's like deceivingly strong.
Yes. I knew the gentleman.
I don't even say deceivingly strong. He just is strong. You just look at him. He's just a ripped kind of beast of a kid.
I like off of what you're telling me, like I don't like this fight for Derek, but like Derek's my dude. I'm rolling with Derek. Money on Derek.
Okay. Ian Heinisch is 13-1, and his one loss came a couple fights ago in the LFA against Marcus Perez. He got hit with an arm triangle choke, so he doesn't seem like he wins unless you get him with some jiu-jitsu, or it seems like he wins unless you can get him with some jiu-jitsu. But you're going Derek Brunson?
Yeah, that's my dude.
What about you, Coach Caleb?
I mean, I've trained with those Factory X guys, so I'm gonna go Ian just because I know I'm not betting.
Okay.
He's got some insider.
And I think I'm gonna go Ian Heinisch. Oof. I think he's. Do
you think they've got Derek Brunson as kind of a gatekeeper for the division now?
Well, I think it's just where he's at. He's number 9. They got him ranked number 9 right now. He's coming off a win off of Elias Theodoro, who they then immediately cut right after, and then. Or the fight after that, they cut him because he won a fight and then they cut him. But he's coming off a loss to Adesanya, loss to Jacare, so maybe a gatekeeper type. Yeah. Perennial top 10 type opponent.
Next,
we have two people we probably don't know. Gabriel Benitez versus Sojov Yusarov.
At 185?
Featherweight.
Oh. Sorry, I don't know.
Yep, so you don't know either one of them. But
pass.
So for that one, I guess we'll go with Bermudez. We'll ride with the Spanish dude.
Oh, that's the dude that Manny beat, no?
Let me see.
From Alpha Male?
No. Gabriel Benitez. Is he from Alpha Male?
Maybe not.
No, he's from AKA.
Oh, okay.
And no, he didn't fight me. He lost to Feely. He lost to Enrique Barzola. And he's on a 2-fight winning streak. So I guess we'll go with...
AKA, I'll go with him. Fuck it.
Ooh, maybe I'll go with Sodif.
Oh, is he Russian?
No, he's a black dude from Team Lloyd Irvin.
Nigerian.
Yeah, won on the Contender Series. He's from Maryland.
What color is his hair?
Black. All right, well, we'll go with him. We pretty much were just going to do the name fights. And then next up is a huge fight in middleweight. Yoel Romero's coming back to fight Paulo Costa. Which I thought we'd never see Yoel Romero again after he won that settlement. He won like $27 million.
Oh, that's right.
But who knows how big that supplement company is and if he actually got paid. Because if you don't have the money, you can't pay it back. You know what I mean?
Right. Didn't that Costas dude get hit pop for?
He popped for something, but I think he's undefeated, Paulo Costa. Yeah, he's 12-0, but I believe he's coming off. Well, no, actually, right now it says he was suspended for use of an IV. So,
Let's start with Mental Sensei first.
so who you got, Coach?
I'm going with Yoel just because, I like him. I think, what is he? He's like 40 years old and like he's ripped to the gills. he's just one of those guys that I'm like, damn, I hope I hope I look that good. I don't look that good now. But it's like hope for the future.
Yeah.
that it's possible to fight competitively. And look, he's 42 years old.
He's insane, Yoel Romero. He's a crazy, vibrant
I don't
personality.
Know, that dude, yeah, he found the fountain of youth. Plus, I don't know. Do you remember that trash talk with Michael Bisping and stuff?
Oh my God, that's my favorite thing. I love you, boy. I love you.
Yeah, I showed you how to wrestle, boy.
And then one of my favorite pictures or memes is after he knocked out Luke Rockhold. He walked up to Luke Rockhold and was like, "I love you, man," and gave Luke Rockhold a kiss on the lips. And then he started trying to French Luke Rockhold after he knocked him out. So imagine that. Imagine if Jeremy Stevens started walking up to you trying to give you kisses after he knocked you out.
I'd headbutt him in the face.
Yeah, not the best. Not what you want to have happen to you.
Not a good look.
Now, Costas has the youth on his side.
He's got Captain America's in his corner, Eric Albarracin.
But fucking, I don't think either of them have good cardio. But I feel like I gotta go with Coach in terms of he's a veteran. When he gets tired, he'll figure it out still.
Well, even that, Yoel Romero is one of those weirdos that it seems like he doesn't have good cardio, but he has 5 third-round knockouts.
Right.
Vicious third-round knockouts.
So Yoel Romero is one of the only dudes to ever beat Cael Sanderson. Yes. Which is...
Twice he beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he maybe lost to him because he got paid.
Yes, possibly.
To lose.
Possibly. He got citizenship in America.
Yeah.
Type money.
So he's a
I love,
freak.
So I don't know a ton, you guys probably know more about this than I do, but I love Yoel's style. He's one of the few that I see utilize trips a lot. His trips are just slick, man. I think it's crazy. I don't know. I like it.
He's one of the best wrestlers in the UFC.
But he never keeps guys there. He almost takes guys down just to let them back up. He doesn't try to hold guys down.
I think because it's probably
exhausting.
With his age, it's he's trying to conserve energy, I think.
Yeah. But amazing.
I don't want to sidetrack us too much, but isn't that crazy? Robert Whittaker, beat him with the one hand. I mean, that's, I don't know, if that guy's that dangerous and you're oh, broke my hand my first round and yet we're still going to go 5 rounds.
That's crazy.
He's a scary dude, Robert Whittaker. To see what he's done since he moved up to middleweight, very, very impressive.
For sure.
But I'm gonna go Paulo Costa.
I'm going with Coach. I'm sticking with
Yoel Romero.
Yoel.
All right, and then we got for the co-main event a huge fight: the return of Nate Diaz versus Showtime Pettis.
Stan, you go first.
This fight's awesome.
Stan, you go first. Coach, you second.
Well, I remember.
Yeah, you're gonna throw me into the bus. Yeah, go first, Coach.
Stan's gonna go first.
We talked to Jared about this, and I think when we had Jared Gordon on the show, I think that the layoff, the stylistic matchup, I think Pettis is going to be too much for Diaz with the mixing it up. It's only a 15-minute fight. If it was a 5-round fight, I would favor Nate Diaz. It's a 3-round fight, so I think it's going to be a little bit of Pettis sticking and moving, and he's going to work the leg kicks. I think those have been a weakness of Nate Diaz his whole career, so I'm going to go with Pettis by 2-1, 2 rounds to 1. Diaz will have his moments. It'll be a close fight, but I think Pettis is going to eke it out with volume and the leg kicks and that whole thing.
That's good. That's good analysis.
I'm going
I
Pettis.
love this matchup, man. I love it. I love it because it's one of those, you have no idea. Nate Diaz could show up, and if he shows up and just – sometimes he's just money, right? It's just – with his boxing, he just doesn't miss. But Pettis, after his win, it seems like Wonder Boy, coming on this streak, it's this phoenix rising resurgence of Anthony Pettis in the division. I'm like, whoa. Like for a minute, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of like I counted him out for a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, he kind of he had his kick, he did his thing, and
he
then
was on the Wheaties box,
kind of gone.
sick.
I think the weight cut, it killed him. He didn't grow up wrestling. He wasn't the best at cutting weight. So let him walk around a little bit at what he naturally weighs. I think he posted something today or yesterday. He's on weight right now, so, or a few pounds over. So it's not really a cut for him.
And when he first entered the weight class, he looked like soft.
Yes.
I think he.
Now I'll throw this out there though, like the mental side of things, right? Like we don't hear a lot about this. But Nate Diaz is brilliant at the mental warfare thing.
He does not give
Anthony
a fuck.
Pettis is already saying like this thing is personal. I just was watching the video before. He's like, it's personal. He's always been flipping me off doing these things. Like, so he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and you got to be careful with things like that because you can lose sight of your game plan.
For sure.
So, yeah, like Nate Diaz is the kind of he coined it first. He gets people pissed off, and they make foolish mistakes. So we'll have to kind of see how Anthony keeps his cool.
I mean, I want Nate Diaz to win. I'm a huge fan of both of the Diaz brothers, but I just think Pettis is gonna get it done. What about you, Menace?
I want Pettis to win.
Okay.
Just because he's down to fight. He's not waiting for these big fights and I'm going to hold out. Like, he's a fucking fighter. He's not like a celebrity now of fighting. You know what I'm saying? But, so like we've been talking about in terms of mental warfare, I don't think you can break Nate with talking or whatever you say. Like, yeah, whatever, like, fuck you. Like, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You think Pettis?
But I think both guys in terms of jiu-jitsu are probably equal.
Yes, I think Pettis has very underrated jiu-jitsu.
Yep. But I think Pettis is more dynamic on the feet with his kicks and punches and stuff like that. Where I think Diaz is the better boxer, though.
Yes.
With the range, so. I just think the layoff isn't good for anybody. So that's why I'm going to say Pettis, and he's on this confident surge of beating Thompson, Wonder Boy, where I didn't think he was going to do that.
He was losing that fight.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm
the
going to go.
first person to knock Wonder Boy out.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Pettis. And he's Puerto Rican.
And who'd you say, Coach Caleb? You're going with Pettis?
I tried to subtly avoid the question because I didn't want to commit. Dude, it's good. It's a good fight. Let's see. Pettis has got momentum, but you can't ever count out a Diaz brother.
Flip a coin? Go ahead. Flip a coin right now. What do you get?
Yeah, did you guys both go Pettis?
Yes.
No, you went
Diaz. All right, I'll go.
I went Pettis. I think Pettis is going to win 2-1 in a close fight, but I want Diaz to win.
Got you.
Yeah, if I'm more of a fan of one of them, I'm more of a fan of Diaz. Not give a fuck. He smokes weed.
Yeah, I would rather much watch Nate Diaz interviews and such.
And I think the UFC is waiting to match the winner up. That's why you haven't heard who Jorge Masvidal's fighting. He said he wanted a title shot or Conor McGregor. I think the UFC is waiting for the winner of this fight to give it to Gamebred, Jorge Masvidal.
Coach, go. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go Diaz. That 209 man. Like I could just see him coming out like hard. He wants that McGregor fight.
Because there's also something when you miss something that you fucking hit it hard. When you've been doing something every day, it becomes like, we're doing this again, or I've been here not too long ago, but like with fighting, man, I haven't fought in a minute. And I go in there like, man, I missed this. Like I'm gonna fucking show the fuck up. That's a real thing too.
If either one of these guys wins spectacularly, their next fight will be Jorge Masvidal or Conor McGregor. If they get on the mic after the fight and they say the right things, they might be the person who gets Conor McGregor back in the fight game.
Very well. Main event.
Main event.
If it's Diaz, everybody wants the trilogy, right? Like that's the moneymaker.
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit.
Well, both of them are moneymakers. They're both $1 million fighters, I think. I think they both made a couple of million in their fighting career, so they're both big names, if you will.
I think it's bullshit.
What's bullshit?
Yeah.
Hang on, both those guys are worth
trilogy.
that much more money than me. I'll fight both of them in the same fucking time.
Oh, I completely agree with you. It's total bullshit. I think the pay scale is a little fucked up in fighting. But they both had pay-per-view main events where they made their millions.
I know.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, with if Pettis comes out and works what appears to be a good leg kick game, like if he mixes it up well. Like,
because
Diaz has shown
does
a weakness.
not check kicks.
I think he's going to fuck him up with calf kicks.
Yeah.
And stick him
Yeah,
over.
so, round one will tell a lot. Now, if Diaz comes out and pieces him up and Pettis can't find his rhythm, well, then, that's why
It'll be a long
I'm
night.
Diaz. But, yeah.
All right, main event, the rematch for the heavyweight title. The most successful championship defenses heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic versus the former champ, Daniel Cormier, current champion. Who do you got, Menace? You go first this time.
Because, I mean, there's something to be said about being a champ, and there's something to be, like, he's never been knocked out.
Who? DC?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
he got fucking almost murdered one time by John Jones.
That's right. Shit.
That was one of those ones. Like, I like DC. I think he seems like one of the nicest guys in MMA.
Hang on, did he get slapped or he just got TKO'd?
He got hit with the head kick, and then it was one of those ones where you were like, Jesus Christ, Herb, stop the fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so they've both experienced knockouts, but when like DC hasn't been knocked out by Stipe, so it's like, I'm kind of like your big brother.
Yes. And
I'm gonna do it again.
And he knocked Stipe cold, and then hit him with like a 3-piece when he was out.
Yeah. Man, this is tough because I know Stipe instantly was like rematch. Like he wasn't like, yeah, I don't, because there's people that have lost and like I don't want to fucking fight that guy again.
Yeah.
Hopefully lose the belt and I'll get the belt that way.
It was like, I forget how many minutes, a 3-4 minute fight the first time, but Stipe was, I think, getting the better of the first couple of minutes. He was landing the better shots and whatnot.
I feel like this one's more of a coin toss than the Pettis.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Diaz fight.
This fight's like this fight's a coin toss, 50-50. But you have a guy. So have you ever had any rematches in your career, Menace?
No.
So yeah, that's what
almost refused him.
So that's like, what's it like once a guy beats you, knocks you out, to then fight him again? Is Stipe going to come in more tentative? Is he going to come in with a chip on his shoulder, like I guess make a point, or who knows how that works in this situation?
I've wanted rematches against guys I've lost to, but I've never wanted a rematch against a guy I've beaten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I visited a while ago, Strong Style. Marcus Marinelli is like the head coach over there. And, like, those guys, don't get me wrong, every gym works hard, but those guys, like, they do some insane conditioning stuff over there. Like, it's just some of the hardest workers I know. So when it comes into, like, once again, like that mental side of it, I think, like, mentally, like, Stipe, like, he's a fireman, right? He's used to pressure situations. Like, he went into Brazil against Verdum, who was, like, ruling the world, like, at, the time. He was just on top. Brazil, 100,000 screaming fans, had like won every fight that night and knocked out Verdum, like just like silences that crowd. So I don't think from a pressure standpoint or like the mental standpoint of, is he going to rise this occasion? I don't think the mental factor will be as big of a deal. I think he's going to come in and do business because that's what he does. Now, from like an ability standpoint, that's different. Like that's like you can't. Like, Cormier's got a track record, with the exception of Bones Jones. He beats everybody. Like, my buddy and I were talking. It's like, you guys remember, like, Mortal Kombat? It's like when you play all the way up, you play like Cormier is like Goro, right? You got to beat Goro, and then, like, there's only one above him. Like, that's Jones. It's like Shang Tsung, but he's, like, pretty much the king. He's, like, he's impossible. So, I don't know. I love Stipe's camp. I love what he stands for, and like my heart would be Stipe, but my head says Cormier, so I'm gonna go Cormier.
Well, even like you said, how hard Strong Style works. AKA is one of those infamous gyms for how fucking rough it is in that practice room. So, and
Well, and I haven't been. Yeah, I've heard those guys just go nuts. Like injury, they go nuts out there.
And DC's the captain out there, so he's fucking training like a fucking maniac for this one. So, I mean,
right.
So Dennis, through this whole conversation, what's your pick? You going with the betting odds?
Yeah, I just feel like
who's the favorite?
I can't really see it yet.
One more thing. Cormier did say too. Now you never know, but he did say this could potentially be his last fight.
Right, he's like on his way out.
But then
so he's kind of like.
But then he's also flirting with John Jones. He's calling John out pretty much and saying 205 again. And then after he did an interview the other day on Helwani Cormier, John Jones went on a Twitter tirade and was answering shit all day on Twitter saying, like, I thought I already answered this not once but twice.
I'm going to go off of just age here. Like, if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money on Stipe. He's not the favorite.
Stipe's the underdog.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards Stipe because you know what it is when a guy's that old. I want to root for DC because he's that old, but at the same time,
he's a goddamn
American hero.
GOAT. Yeah,
American hero too. He's an Olympian. He's a wrestling hero, but when is he gonna age? You know how it is when you're that. Like even Yoel Romero, is this gonna be the fight where he looks old? You know,
right?
Like remember, I mean,
it's like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, like Randy Couture was older, but remember Randy Couture, like when he fought Machida, he got front karate Miyagi crane to the face. That was the fight where he didn't look too good. He looked older in that fight. Remember, he fought even Brandon Vieira. He looked old in that fight. So it's like, when do you get old?
When do you lose it?
Yeah. So what do you think? You going Stipe?
So, I mean, as a wrestler, I want DC to win because I'm a wrestler. But on the same token, like
Stipe's a wrestler too.
Like, yeah, but not the same level wrestler.
Yeah.
So the wrestler in me wants DC because, America. And then Stipe, like, I played video games with Stipe.
Yes.
Like, we've got mutual friends.
Yes.
So on the personal side, I want Stipe to win. And then if I'm betting, I want Stipe to win. So I guess that just pushes me towards Stipe.
Yes. We hope to book both on the show in the future. But
and also
I will say, like, I'm
DC's,
stoked for the rematch. I can't wait.
DC's more busy with the commentating and stuff like that, and
well, he shut it down for this fight.
Oh,
he's just been training like a fucking madman. Okay. What I've seen on social media, he's posting every day, dripping in sweat photos.
Yeah,
like you were trying to post today, but you were really jerking off. But anyway,
Stan, what the fuck is your deal?
Yeah,
I kid. All right,
there's Dennis always asks for like embarrassing stories about him, right?
What'd you say?
I said Dennis always asks for embarrassing stories about him. Isn't that right? I always hear you ask like, "Hey, you got any embarrassing stories?"
Yeah, what do you got?
I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not that embarrassing, but it cracked me up. Like I've done a lot of sessions, right? I've done a lot of sessions, and typically they're through Skype. And I always ask all my fighters, I'm like, "Hey, book time, like so give give priority to the space in the meeting." Well, Dennis had got done working out. I was getting ready, and I guess I had that protein shake and had to use the facilities. And I've never, I've never been on a call with somebody who had the audacity to just go ahead and drop trowel and keep the same level of focus while going through our mental coaching session. No, I never saw anything, but it was reminiscent of the locker room of yesteryear. I was like, oh my God, this dude's really just gonna drop a deuce, right? And
I was totally in it. He only saw the bust, and I was going number 2. That's what I do. I actually do a lot of FaceTiming from the throne there.
This is true.
I guess if I like
thank you guys so much for having me on.
Yeah, if I like you, that's where I'll talk to you.
You see what happens, Coach Caleb?
That's how I know.
We're going on almost an hour here.
Yep. Well, see you later.
Well, so wait, Coach Caleb, we're all going Stipe?
I'm going to go Cormier. Like I said, like I just, I love Stipe. I think like it's anybody's game once again. Like you never know, it's a heavyweight fight. But if I look at like past performances, I try to judge off of like a history of success, and Cormier has been and proven himself to be pretty successful.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, well, that'll wrap up our analysis, our little preview for episode 241. If we do an episode Thursday with Al Jermaine at GSB, maybe we'll get a little more into it.
For sure.
But Coach Caleb, we want to thank you for the time.
Yep.
We appreciate you. I appreciate all the help you did for Menace in his fighting career, especially getting that last dub. And
yeah, my honor.
Yeah, let people know how to find you.
Yeah, one last time, Mental Sensei. So you can hit me up at mentalsensei.com. You can follow me on Twitter, although I'm barely on there. I got to get better on my Twitter game. But Instagram for sure. Like Dennis said, I'll slide into those DMs. I've messaged all of you. I've messaged the entire roster. So but you got to, like, yeah, I'm out there. You know who I am. If you want to have a complimentary session and see how we can help you improve your game, just message me and let's do good work.
All right. You're the man, Coach Caleb. Thank you for all the help with booking some of the guys, and thank you for joining us here tonight.
And Stan, even though you're not a professional athlete, you can hit up Caleb and try and fix your life because you're a loser.
All right, well, I'll do that, Menace. Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, Coach Caleb, take it easy, my man.
All right, see you, fellas.
Peace.